Bon après-midi et merci vous pouvez rejoindre nous. Nous pouvons aller tout de suite en direction de l'Assemblée nationale pour suivre la PNQ, donc qui axée la situation de law and order dans le pays. Donc la situation de law and order qui est au centre de cette PNQ du leader de l'opposition adressée au Premier ministre.
Yeah.
We are overworked, Prime Minister.
Exactly.
You must forgive us. Please.
Madam Speaker, it is with sadness that we have learned of the demise of Mr. France-Antoine Canabati, former Member of Parliament, who passed away on the 2nd of October 2025 at the age of 82. He was born in 1943 in Port Louis, and he completed his primary schooling at the Central Boys Government School. He then attended the Royal College of Port Louis for his secondary school and pursued his tertiary education at the University of Manchester as a Commonwealth Scholar. He also held a maîtrise en droit from l'Université de la Réunion and a diplôme du troisième cercle in Cooperation and Development from Université Libre de Bruxelles. Mr. Canabati had a distinguished professional career. Upon his return to Mauritius in 1967, he joined the Collège du Saint-Esprit, where he taught English, English literature, and journal paper. He later became the head of the English department and served as the Dean of Studies until 1990. In 1993, he joined Le Bocage International School as head of the English department and taught English and English literature. He became deputy headmaster before embarking on a new career as a patents translator with the World Intellectual Property Organization until 2025. Madam Speaker, Mr. Canabati joined politics in 1967 on his return to Mauritius. He was elected in Ward 2 of the town of Quatre-Beaune at the municipal council elections of December 1982. He was elected mayor of Quatre-Beaune on the 1st of January 1984, a position which he held until the 31st of December 1984. He stood as a candidate at the 1982 general election for the Legislative Assembly under the banner of the Alliance MMM-PSM for the constituency number 16, Vacqua-Floréal. He was returned as the second elected member for the said constituency. He then stood for the 1983 general election for the same constituency under the banner of the Mouvement Militant Mauricien, and he became the fourth member for Vacqua-Floréal after having been appointed best loser. Mr. Canabati resigned as a member of the Legislative Assembly in April 1984. Although he was not involved in active politics, he remained a keen observer throughout his life. As a patriot and with a deep sense of civic duty, he translated on a pro bono basis the Mauritius submission to the International Court of Justice. He also edited the book of late J.N. Katari, Behind the Purple Curtain. Madam Speaker, Mr. Canabati will be remembered as a man of high principles and integrity. We offer our sincere condolences to his spouse, Mrs. Usha Dwaka Canabati, to his children and all those who are afflicted by this demise. May I kindly request you, Madam Speaker, to direct the clerk of the National Assembly to convey the deep condolences of this Assembly to the bereaved family. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
Madame Speaker,
Deputy.
je me joins à tout ce que le Premier ministre vient de dire. Madame Speaker, c'est un militant pur et dur qui nous a quittés. En tant que militant, comme nous tous, il refusait les compromissions. Mais en tant que militant pur et dur, il a refusé aussi certains compromis que beaucoup parmi nous, dans le MMM, nous estimions nécessaires at a given point in time. Je me joins à ce que le Premier ministre vient de dire et j'exprime toute ma sympathie à ses proches. Merci, madame.
Je vous remercie, monsieur le leader de l'opposition.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, on behalf of the opposition, I wish to associate myself to the tribute paid by the Honorable Prime Minister to late Mr. France Kanabadi. And Madam Speaker, may I request you to direct the Clerk of the National Assembly to convey our deep condolences to the bereaved family. Thank you.
Thank you. Honourable members, I am also saddened by the passing of Mr. France Antoine Kanabadi, whom I have personally known during his tenure as a Member of Parliament and also as a friend. I therefore associate myself with the tribute paid to the memory of late Mr. France Antoine Kanabadi, former Member of Parliament, by the Dr. Honourable Prime Minister, by the Honourable Deputy Prime Minister and the Honourable Leader of the Opposition, and I direct the Clerk to convey the deep condolences of the Assembly to the bereaved family.
Papers have been laid. Question.
Yes, Honourable Leader of the Opposition, your private notice question.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I've given notice, the following private notice question addressed to Dr. the Honourable Prime Minister, Minister of Defence, Home Affairs and External Communications, Minister of Finance, Minister for Rodrigues and Outer Islands. Whether in regard to assaults, he will, for the benefit of the House, obtain from the Commissioner of Police information as to the number of reported cases thereof since January 2025 to date, indicating the number of fatal ones, A. B. Arrests effected in connection therewith, further indicating if suspects are habitual criminals and or suspected of having committed same whilst on bail in respect of other offences or whilst on release on parole. C. Such assaults perpetrated on police officers in the line of duty. And D. Unresolved cases. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Yes, Honourable Prime Minister.
Yes, Madam Speaker. With your permission, I would like to put this PNQ in context, and I would like to remind the House of the chaotic situation prevailing in the police department when we assumed office in November 2024. As the population will recall, the former Commissioner of Police had become la risée de la nation mauricienne by his acts and doings characterized by malfeasance and incompetence, to say the least. As I said before, during the past decade, the police force was turned into a textbook example of institutional decrepitude. The House will recall the scandalous conversations revealed by the moustache links, where the population found out into its disbelief that the headquarters of the police force was no longer at the Caserne Portly, but in Angus Road, Bakwa. It is not, Madam Speaker, surprising, as we are witnessing since November 2024, how a much broader Machiavellic strategy was put in place to undermine the independence and integrity of our institutions with the sinister motive of exerting absolute control over them. Just like some tin pot dictators, they were hell-bent on transforming our country into an État voyou without caring about the law and order situation. They were more interested in satisfying the insatiable greed for money. I should also like to refresh the memory of the Leader of the Opposition, how the previous Commissioner of Police, with the blessings of the Minister of Interior, the then Minister of Interior, undermined the office of the then Director of Public Prosecutions, Mr. Satyajit Boulel, an act unprecedented in the history of the Commonwealth. The Honourable Leader of the Opposition would also recall how the government, of which he was himself a prominent member, attempted to arrest the former Director of Public Prosecution, Mr. Satyajit Boulel. This was clearly a political act to intimidate him and curtail his independence of action. We recall the abhorrent tactic by the then Commissioner of Police by bypassing the Attorney General's office and the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions for criminal proceedings before our court of law. The Commissioner of Police instead retained the services of counsels and attorneys from the private practice, from the coterie of lawyers and attorneys at the service of the MMM and the King's Counsel from the UK for a total amount of 14,288,825 rupees, a totally unprecedented and unheard practice. Unbelievably, the CP even the Commissioner of Police even sued the DPP.
I'm sorry, did you say the MMM or did I not?
MSM.
Okay.
MSM, never the MMM.
No, I know, but there was a slip
Was it?
There was a slip of your tongue.
Was it? Oh, I'm
sorry to have stopped you.
Yeah, no, don't worry.
I just checked everybody
It's
heard
good,
MMM.
it's good you remind people that it's the MSM. It was clearly done. All this was clearly done to undermine the professional integrity of the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions and other relevant institutions. I leave it to members of the House to ask the question why and at whose behest all these principles were restored to. The revelations regarding the issue of reward money and the allegations of drug planting targeting members of the civil society critical of the then government gives us an idea of the political weaponization of the police force under the previous regime. The involvement of the former Commissioner of Police and his closest collaborators at the helm of the force have sent shockwaves in the nation. Madam Speaker, we find ourselves today in the shameful position where a former Commissioner of Police, 2 Assistant Commissioners of Police, a Superintendent of Police, 2 Assistant Superintendents of Police, a Police Sergeant, other subordinates are currently on bail under charges of embezzlement and corruption of a magnitude never heard before. Madam Speaker, that was the putrescent state of the police force that the previous government bequeathed to the nation. Today, fortunately, that era is behind us. We are restoring direction, discipline, and dignity within the police force. The days when the command of the police echoed from private addresses rather than les casernes are well over. Madam Speaker, when my government came to office, we took a firm and unequivocal stand that the police force must once again embody integrity, fairness, and professionalism. We are modernizing the police through the revival of the National Policing Strategic Framework built around 6 key pillars: community policing, respect for human rights, leadership development, intelligence-led operations, strategic planning, and stronger reactive capacity. Madam Speaker, since his appointment in November 2024, the Commissioner of Police has injected new energy and discipline into the force. His leadership has been guided by professionalism and fairness, and his actions have already produced tangible results. Madam Speaker, the offense of assault, as defined under Section 2281, subsection 1 of the Criminal Code, is such that any person who willfully inflicts any wound or blow, or is the author of any other violence or assault, shall, if such an act of violence has caused any sickness or incapacity for personal labor for more than 20 days, be punished by imprisonment and a fine not exceeding 100,000 rupees. In regard to an aggravated assault, the penalty can go up to 20 years of penal servitude. Madam Speaker, with regard to Part A of the question, from January 2025 to the 10th of October 2025, I am informed by the Commissioner of Police that the number of reported cases of assault is as follows. Simple assaults, 4,247. Assault with premeditation, 112. Wounds and blows causing death without intention to kill, 1. Assault against an agent of civil authority, 104. Attempt at murder, 24. Murder, 24. In spite of the impression that is being created, the statistics for this year clearly show a decreasing trend in the commission of such offences as compared to the previous years. The total number of fatal ones, comprising murder and wounds and blows, causing death without intention to kill is 25. Madam Speaker, with regard to part B of the question, I'm informed by the Commissioner of Police that the number of arrests in connection with those cases is 1,185. The number comprises 108 habitual criminals. The number of persons suspected to have committed the offense whilst on bail or whilst on release on parole is 100. Madam Speaker, in regards to part C of the question, I'm informed by the Commissioner of Police that there have been 95 cases of assault on police officers. As regards part D of the question, I'm informed that 24 of the 25 fatal cases, that is from January to October 2025, have already been resolved. Thus, there's only one case where the investigation is ongoing. This constitutes a success rate of 96%. I wish to inform the House that over the period 2015 to 2024, there are 6 unresolved cases, including the mysterious death of a well-known MSM political agent, Mr. Subramania Krishnan. The case remains unresolved as at date. However, I have commissioned the services of expert homicide detectives from overseas to review the inquiries pursued by the police into the unexplained death of Mr. Subramania Krishnan. Those experts visited Mauritius for several weeks to carry out the review. They have reported, and as we suspected, that the initial police investigations and inquiries were seriously deficient. Critical evidence from the scene was not preserved. It appears even destroyed. Important lines of inquiry were not followed up. Ask yourself why. A judicial inquiry by a senior magistrate was done, and look, it was in the papers. I'm quoting from that, but it is from that. It says, I consider the conduct of the police in this case to be abhorrent. The manner in which the inquiry was conducted fell so below what can be considered reasonable that it marks a new level of incompetence. That is what the magistrate said. After the initial review, that is the overseas experts, which has included seeking the expert opinion of an international forensic scientist specializing in death by fire. I can inform the House that the investigators have concluded there are sufficient indications to conclude that the death of Mr. Subramania Krishnan was neither accidental nor self-inflicted, but he was indeed murdered. Government will not allow the murderers to rest undisturbed in their beds. I can announce that the investigation into the unlawful killing of Mr. Subramania Krishnan will be formally reopened next month, and that the government intends to introduce legislation soon to permit, in certain limited and controlled circumstances and in matters of great public interest, the use of specialists and expert investigators from abroad. I'm informed, Madam Speaker, by the Commissioner of Police that cases of fatal assaults are resolved on an average within 48 hours. This in itself is an indication that the authorities are well coordinating their efforts on the ground to elucidate such heinous crimes. Since my government came to power, and with the appointment of the new Commissioner of Police, there has been a major overhaul in the police department to render it more efficient. Of course, there is room for further improvement. When it comes to law and order, we cannot remain complacent because, as we always say, un crime, c'est un crime de trop. In the last case of murder which shocked us all was in Beju-Tombo recently, on the 2nd of October. It was that of a businessman who was brutally murdered by 5 suspects, including his own son, who was apparently the mastermind. The case was resolved within 24 hours by the major crime investigation team, and those suspects arrested. The downward trend is the result of the measures taken by the Commissioner of Police to ensure effective enforcement of law and order, public safety, crime prevention, emergency response, and victim support. I have previously enumerated the measures that have been taken and those which will be implemented in my reply of PNQ of the 19th of June of this year. Amongst others is the setting up of a national crime agency and the introduction of a police and criminal justice bill. Madam Speaker, my government will leave no stone unturned to bring efficiency in the police. As I said earlier, we have already initiated a number of actions to achieve that objective.
Your first supplementary, please.
Speaker, and I hope that I shall be given enough time to put my
Well,
supplementary
we'll
question.
do our best. But
My
go
first,
straight to your question, please.
yes, my first supplementary question, Madam, is with regard to the figures that the Honourable Prime Minister has shared with the House. And when I refer some of the figures, the situation is quite alarming. I can see that we have, from the figures given, 15 cases of assaults per day, and as 10 police officers assaulted per month. That's why I'm saying that the situation is alarming. Now, Madam Speaker, since my last PNQ on the subject, I believe we all agree that the situation on the streets has worsened. For the month of September only, we have cases of assault in the metro, domestic violence, a case of murder, and even the use of firearms and assault with offensive weapons in the premises of a hospital. And the Honourable Prime Minister informed the House. What additional measures is he planning to take to curb that situation prevailing with regard to law and order in the country?
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition might be surprised to learn I've given the figures, but if you were to compare these figures to last year when you were in power, let me remind you, simple assaults, I said 4,247.
Yes.
2024, you know how many it was? 5,458. Over 1,000 more, 1,300 more. Assault with premeditation was I quoted, 112. In 2024, it was 143. As for assault against an agent of civil authority, I said 104. 2024, it was 133. Let me say this also. We will bring legislation. It is unacceptable that someone should be allowed to assault a police officer. That is something that we will have to address. We will have to tighten the law. That is totally unacceptable. As for murder, attempted murder was, I said 24. It was 25 in 2024. As for murder, 24 this year so far, compared to 35 in 2024. That's why I said there is an impression. But when you look at the figures, it was much, much worse. And I've enumerated, I don't want to go through it, you will say I'm taking time. I've said what are the measures we are taking. As I said, this is always there is room for improvement. Un crime, c'est un crime de trop. But still, we are moving towards that.
Your second question.
Yes, thank you, Madam Speaker. In a reply to a supplementary question from my colleague, Honourable Adrien Duval, last Tuesday, the Honourable Prime Minister said, I quote, he does not want to give the impression that we are a police state because our country attracts tourists. Is the Honourable Prime Minister aware that even tourists are being attacked and robbed in broad daylight? For example, yesterday, 2 tourists were attacked at the Promenade Doguet in Port Louis. Will he therefore agree that if we cannot protect our tourists, Madam Speaker, this will give a very bad reputation to our country, and we will have to face.
Again, I said to the Leader of the Opposition, as if nothing happened, no tourists were attacked for the last 10 years. As I said, there is room for improvement. We are tackling, the Commissioner of Police is looking into all this. When I said I don't want to give the impression that it is the police state. But we are using the SMF, we are doing these routine checks and all these are going on, but not to everywhere over the whole island. We are changing spots from time to time.
Third question, please.
Madam Speaker, in my last PNQ, the Honourable Prime Minister mentioned the lack of police officers in the force. While today we are asking police officers to register dogs, may we know where matters stand regarding recruitment of new police officers?
As I said, I think the leader of the nation didn't hear me last time. We have just recruited, I can't remember, a whole batch of new police officers. And we are in the process of saying, but we have to do one thing. We want police officers to deliver also. We want people to respect police officers, but the rogue police officers, we will get rid of them.
Madam Speaker, and this is confirmed, Madam Speaker, as per my information, more and more police officers in the force are dejected with the present situation. May we know what proposals have been made by the Office of the Prime Minister to the PRB and the DFSC to improve working conditions of police officers, that is, hours of work, equipment and salary?
I know the Commissioner of Police is putting order. Of course, some people won't be happy when he's putting order. You can't just decide to work on a Sunday just to get extra money. He's putting order on all this. Reward money. You're stopping this. You're stopping this. We can't give reward money like it did. You saw how many millions? You must have been shocked yourself. Because you were not the Home Minister. I don't think you were.
Another question? Yes. You got 10 minutes left. 10 minutes.
Yeah,
okay?
I've got a lot of questions. Many units such as the SSU, the SMF are still underutilized, Madam Speaker, despite the answer given by the Honourable Prime Minister to my first PNQ on the same subject matter. Will the Honourable Prime Minister consider deploying these special units now across the country in order to stop this crime wave prevailing in the country?
This is what I said earlier, Madam Speaker. I did say that the Commissioner of Police is looking. Don't forget what the Constitution says, Section 71. I can give general direction, but it is for the Commissioner of Police to determine the use and control of his force. And he's doing it. That I'm satisfied.
Okay.
Yes. The Honourable Prime Minister in his reply made mention about PACE, that is the Police and Criminal Evidence Bill. Can we, Honourable Prime Minister, finally have a time frame?
I might have to remind the leader of the police that I brought the then Attorney General, Mr. Razak Pirou, on my demand. We worked very hard on it, and we brought the Police and Criminal Evidence Act here in Parliament. It was read the first time. There were some queries by the then DPP, and then the election came. That bill had been already read the first time. Now you had 10 years in government. The bill was there. You never brought that bill. And now you're asking me for time. You can see for yourself.
Yes.
In a reply to a question last Tuesday again, the Honourable Prime Minister stated that he would consider the use of body cam by prison officers. Will he consider extending same to police officers?
Yes, we actually are.
Good.
Will the Prime Minister also consider introducing in our penal system the use of electronic bracelets for habitual criminal and sexual offenders?
That I think, as far as I remember, it had already been started, but we will definitely extend that. As I said, Madam Speaker, we inherited a police force totally upside down. So we can't do everything at one go. I don't have the magic one, as I keep saying. But this also is being considered.
Madam Speaker, the Honourable Prime Minister cannot indefinitely blame the previous government. He's been in office for the past almost a year now, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the very existence of gangs in the country, such as Mauritius, is not acceptable. We have specialized units such as the JPM, the Marcos at our disposal. Will the Honourable Prime Minister consider conducting dedicated operations to dismantle gangs and put the perpetrators behind bars once and for all?
As the Deputy Prime Minister reminded me, there is no striking team there anymore. But, you know, each unit has its own protocol, and when you use it, for example, JPM, they have their own protocol, but we are looking at all this.
Now, Speaker, since the case of assault that occurred in the Metro Express, can the Honourable Prime Minister inform the House if police presence in the Metro and at Metro Station has increased, and what solid measures have been taken to protect at the same time the commuters and the employees of the transport sector?
I did say that I addressed that question in the past. The problem is, Madam Speaker, as you've seen, the FCC is asking for more police officers to do their work, because there are so many people have stolen from the previous government that we have to look for people. And they have to be trained. We can't just take a man from the street and say, become a policeman. They have to be trained.
With regard to firearms, Madam Speaker, will the Honourable Prime Minister consider conducting a national survey and a crackdown operation on illegal possession of firearms? And if yes, how does he intend to proceed?
Legal ones? Legal or illegal ones?
Yes, that we had done before when I was Prime Minister. We're going to do it again. It is being done. Others say we can't do everything at one time, but there are some people very close to you who have been shown to have
Fishy. I heard a comment with regard to Fishy. Can the Honourable Prime Minister confirm to the House whether the revolver used at Grand-Bay was one with a silencer?
How will
I be able to say that?
How will he know?
Speaker, it is something very serious, Madam Speaker.
No, but
many of our senior citizens, some even of foreign nationality, have been brutally attacked in their homes. Will the Prime Minister consider a special desk in all divisions across the country to assist those persons, such as regular visits or exchanges, Madam Speaker?
One of the reasons this is happening, because under the previous regime, drugs were available everywhere.
Yeah.
The case of the unfortunate case of the Bejitombu, the son who was arrested, he was looking for money to buy drugs. This is the origin of the problem.
Let me come to
Perhaps maybe you want to consider this special desk?
I would love to
Interesting.
discuss this with the Commissioner of Police.
Yes.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Based on the figures provided by the Honourable Prime Minister himself, assaults seems to be a daily occurrence, and we have not even spoken about crimes related to drug trafficking and drug use. But I will come to that at a later stage. 1 year down in his mandate, is the Prime Minister satisfied with measures that have been taken by his government to fight crime in this country?
I thought I explained all this at the beginning, Madam Speaker. We have results to show, compared figures. We have For example, I gave you a figure on this crime, 96% success. Never happened under your government.
2 minutes left. 2 minutes
Got
left.
one last question for
Yes.
the Prime Minister. I come back to what I said last time in my PNQ. Can the Honourable Prime Minister inform the House when does the present contract of the Commissioner of Police come to end and whether he intends to renew his contract?
It's too early for me to say that. He's doing his work. Let him do his work.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, both of you. Yes?
Speaker, I move that all the business on today's order paper.
Et voilà donc pour cette PNQ de Joe Lejonga, axée cet après-midi sur la situation de law and order dans le pays. Joe Lejonga qui fait une question au Premier ministre concernant le nombre de cas d'agression depuis janvier à ce jour. Les filles nous les gagnent ban détails, la répartition de ban cas, d'abord le nombre de cas d'agression, mais d'agression mortelle aussi, ban arrestation qui fin faire en précisant si ban suspect c'est ban récidiviste ou si zut fin commettre ça ban délit là alors qui zut en liberté sous caution ou sur parole, ban agression contre ban policier dans l'exercice de autres fonctions et que nombre de cas qui fin résoudre. D'abord cet après-midi, Patrick Hilbert qui est avec nous également sur ce plateau. Joe Lejonga est bien armé, nous capables de dire de questions et le Premier ministre avait les répliques. Navin Ramgoulam qui finit d'abord ou les contextualise sa PNQ, l'eau et au-delà. Il fait état d'une situation chaotique dans laquelle le pays était avant qu'un nouveau gouvernement vienne au pouvoir. Il dit qu'il finit une allégation contre l'ancien commissaire de police qui à un moment donné finit la risée de la population. Il mentionne entre autres l'affaire Moustaslik, il fait aussi état les sites en cas de drug planting. Il dit qu'il finit dans plusieurs hauts gradés de la police qui finit accusé de corruption. Alors il dit tout ça là, il derrière nous, la police peut moderniser, qui est basé donc les 6 piliers. Le nouveau commissaire de police, selon le Premier ministre, sur ban action peut déjà donner ban résultat. Et il dit que de janvier à ce jour, il y a plus de 4000 agressions qui finissent rapportées, 24 cas de meurtre. Il dit qu'il y a un cas d'agression, le nombre de cas d'agression est en déclin comparé à l'année précédente. Il dit qu'il y a 108 récidivistes concernés par un cas qui finit enregistré, 95 cas d'agression lors la police finit enregistré et l'IPEDIA aussi il y a un seul cas de meurtre qui peut encore résoudre à ce jour. Mais l'information, Patrick Hilbert, qui est ressortie de cette PNQ, entre autres, c'est l'enquête lors l'affaire Kisnen, Premier ministre qui dit que c'est pas accidentel, l'enquête est réouverte.
Donc, les Findiens qui finissent un expert qui finit pas sur le meurtre de Subramanian Kisnen. Donc, je finis conclure sans aucun doute que c'était un meurtre. Donc, il peut dire comme ça que le gouvernement va pas permettre à ban murderers to rest, ce sont ses mots, et il a dit que l'investigation, l'enquête va être formellement rouverte le mois prochain. Il finit aussi qu'il pour un changement à la loi, à la législation, pour permettre dans certains cas bien définis qu'il y a un expert étranger qui vient pour enquête l'Osman cas. Il reconnaît qu'effectivement il y a room for improvement. Il finit aussi que le dernier cas qui choque le pays, c'est celui qui est arrivé le 2 octobre dernier à Budutombo, comme un businessman, en l'occurrence Mark Young Shiyin, donc propriétaire de Mark's Aquarium, assassiné, agressé mortellement, et 5 suspects fin arrêtés, dont son propre fils qui serait, selon le Premier ministre, le mastermind derrière ce crime. Il a dit que la mise sur pied de la National Crime Agency est toujours d'actualité, tout comme l'introduction du Police and Criminal Evidence Bill. Là aussi, il rappelle que le MSM, que le gouvernement travailliste en 2014, qui passe la loi, le PACE, en première lecture, mais qui en 10 ans, le gouvernement suivant, le gouvernement MSM, donc pas fin fait un ornier. Mais Joe Lejonga finit qu'il lit son Liban Chiffre montrer que la situation est très alarmante avec 15 cas de assault par jour et 10 police officers qui agressaient chaque mois. Donc, il peut dire que la situation sur la rue peut devenir de plus en plus pire.
Jujonga qui fin revient entre autres l'eau agression qui fin dans le métro, dans l'hôpital, il fin demande Premier ministre est-ce qu'il y a une mesure additionnelle qui peut prendre. Et Premier ministre fin dire qui fin rappelle qu'en 2024 pour la même période alors que l'étudiant cette année, depuis le début de l'année, finira en fait plus de 4000 cas d'agression. Lydia, pour la même période, l'année dernière, il a plus de 5000 cas. Et Lydia, en ce qui concerne le cas de meurtre, en 2024, Lydia, il y a 35 contre 24. Donc, pour cette année. Joël Jonga fin aussi revient le cas agression de ban touristes au Dogué. Premier ministre, il répond et que dire est-ce que ça veut dire qu'il sous l'ancien régime parti non il parti peut arriver. Joël Jonga fin ban question additionnelle Patrick Hilbert aux conditions de travail de ban policiers. Il dit que certaines unités de la police, notamment la SMF, sous-utilisées.
Donc, il finit dire, Joël Jonga finit demander mais voilà, quelle est la politique de recrutement de ban policiers. Donc, le Premier ministre finit répondre que FEC recrute une whole new batch de policiers. On veut des policiers qui deliver et que la population respecte par rapport à un changement, à une condition de travail de un policier. Il peut dire que voilà, je peux travailler au ça dossier-là, mais seulement peut dire aussi que voilà, dans le passé, il y a une pratique qui n'est pas capable de tolérer, par exemple, le cas de reward money. Donc, il finit dire que voilà, le présent régime arrête cette pratique. Concernant la sous-utilisation de la SSU et la SMF, donc Joël Jonga, de l'opposition, vient dire que c'est sous-utilisé selon lui. Le Premier ministre fait rappel que la section 71 de la Constitution dit que c'est le commissaire de police qui doit déterminer le use et control of its force. Et selon le Premier ministre, il peut dire il le fait bien, je suis satisfait.
Et puis donc cette demande de Joël Jonga concernant une special desk pour victimes donc d'agression à domicile.
Donc là aussi, le Premier ministre peut dire que tout ça peut retravailler tout ça, mais encore une fois, plusieurs reprises, il finit dire Priscilla, que la situation s'améliore par rapport à l'année dernière, que les chiffres sont nettement en baisse par rapport à l'année dernière. Il y a aussi une question de Joël Jonga par rapport aux armes à feu, donc si on a un national survey, si on a un crackdown par rapport à ça. Là-dessus, le Premier ministre finit dire que je pourrais refaire je suis déjà fait dans le passé, mais je pourrais refaire mais seulement pas capable de faire tout en même temps.
Pas de précision par rapport au contrat du nouveau commissaire de police, Patrick.
Donc, là aussi, le Premier ministre dit que c'est trop tôt pour en parler, mais seulement le commissaire de police fait son travail, c'est ce que le Premier ministre dit.
Alors, au début de cette séance, il y a aussi un hommage qui fait rendre à l'ancien député France Canabadi. Et le Premier ministre dit qu'il, pour rappeler comme un homme de principe, Paul Béranger dit que c'est un militant pur et dur.
Donc, France Canabadi finit décédé la semaine dernière à l'âge de 82 ans. Donc, le Premier ministre finit rappelle un petit peu sa carrière et sur l'éducation, ce côté académique. Hein. Donc, il est un ancien de l'Université de Manchester. C'est un ancien enseignant du Collège Royal de Cueupip, qui aussi ancien au Bocage. Il rejoint la politique en 67. Il a été d'abord maire de Quatre-Bornes en 94. Il a été candidat en 82 sur l'alliance MMM-PSM. Il a été député au numéro 16 Vacois-Floréal. En 83, il est réélu en tant que best loser. Et donc, comme vous pouvez dire, Priscilla, le Premier ministre finit dire que c'était un homme de principe et d'intégrité.
En ce moment même, l'attorney général, Gavin Glover, donc qui présente le Senior Council, un Senior Attorney Bill, donc qui peut débattre face à la polémique concernant la dernière nomination de Senior Council et Senior Attorney, le Parlement qui a appelé pour clarifier les critères de sélection. Senior Council et Senior Attorney Bill vise à renforcer légalement procédure de nomination en créant un recommendation panel qui vous propose au président de la République nom de candidat qui peut retenir pour gagner sa titre honorifique là. Le panel est pour présidé par le chef juge et pour comprendre le senior opinion judge, deux juges les plus anciens, l'attorney general ainsi que président Bar Council et Mauritius Law Society. Et Patrick, le texte précise également critères donc qui pour retenir.
Parce que le problème avec la législation actuelle, c'est que beaucoup de pouvoir est sur les épaules du chef juge, donc il a un petit peu une très grande liberté pour choisir qui sont là qui est capable d'une senior counsel ou senior attorney. Donc là, le critère là pour beaucoup mieux défini, ce sera plus le chef juge qui pour tout seul décide de qui pourra être senior counsel et senior attorney. Donc c'est comme on vient de dire, un panel, une recommendation panel qui est composé de plusieurs membres qui pour faire une recommandation au président de la République qui lit donc pour faire une annonce de qui c'est là qui peut venir senior counsel, senior attorney. Donc il faut avoir au moins 15 ans d'expérience, figurer bien sûr sur le registre des avocats, contribuer au développement du droit, avoir des compétences spécialisées, une réputation solide, de l'intégrité et une pratique professionnelle exemplaire, entre autres.
Alors, nous pour rappel aussi qu'il y a une contestation qui est en cours. 3 juristes peuvent contester nomination de 19 senior counsel, 12 senior attorney qui finit annoncé le 14 août 2025. Et l'affaire est appelée le 7 août 2025 devant le juge David Chan Kan-chong et qui finit renvoyé au 30 octobre 2025. Autant donc pour cette séance de la PNQ pour capable suivre le projet de loi. En ce moment même, l'eau nous page un débat l'eau ce projet de loi. L'eau nous page défimedia.info. Merci beaucoup Patrick Hilbert.
Merci Priscilla.
Merci à toute l'équipe technique. À très bientôt.